Hi friends! I've been on a quest to find the perfect camera bag to use when we move to Spain for carrying all of my camera gear as well as my computer and everything else that I'll need on the plane and in the airport. And I just got my chosen bag in the mail and I thought, why not do a first impressions and unboxing video to show you what I chose, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of the bag that I got and see what we think about it. The bag that I chose is off of Amazon, the Tarion brand RB-02 Professional Camera Backpack. I spent hours agonizing over what bag that I should try, and I researched all of the big brands. I was especially interested in Peak Design bags, and I've used Peak Design products over the years, and every one of them has been an amazing product. And they did have a couple of bags that were in the running, but there was a few things I was looking for that didn't really get checked off by what they have available, and their price is very high. I think the bag that suited my needs the closest would have cost me, I think, around $400 Canadian to purchase. I would be willing to pay that much if it perfectly suited my needs. But then I also did some searching on Amazon and found this other bag that I thought I'd give a try. And because it's Amazon, I feel like there's very little risk because I don't need to commit to it. If I don't like it, I'll just send it back and I can still always try out the Peak Design bag or any other bags. I should start by saying, when I was researching, a few of the things that I felt I needed: a camera bag that didn't look too much like a camera bag. If something screams I'm wearing a camera on my back, it feels a little bit less safe to me when you're traveling in places that are crowded. So that was the first consideration. I also wanted something that was really stylish. I would love something that looked a little bit more like a fashion accessory than a utility bag. I was looking for something that had kind of a feminine look to it, and the Peak Design bags have available a color, and I forget what it's called, but it's like an ivory color, and that was really a pretty color and it looked a little bit more feminine than going for like the typical black and gray bags that I was finding. I also found quite a few bags that are leather or vegan leather or pleather, whatever you want to call it, and that was another option. But I was finding that all of those bags were weighing in at minimum 5 pounds. And because I need a bag that's going to carry my computer, my iPad, my camera, all of my gear, passports, like all the things that I need to take on the plane, I wanted something that wasn't heavy before I even loaded it up with gear. Because I have owned a Joe Totes bag, which was more of a sling style camera bag, and it was a great bag, but once I put all of my things in it, it was so exorbitantly heavy that I found it really difficult to carry around. It did have a crossbody strap, and or it could be slung over my shoulder with 2 handles, but I still found it was killing me running through airports with that bag. I was opting for something that was a backpack style just for comfort and durability, and also for practicality. I also wanted something that could carry a tripod if necessary, because now that I'm a YouTuber, I'm expecting that I'm gonna need to carry a tripod at times, especially once we start doing more travel style videos. So I wanted the option to be able to throw in a tripod. Price was secondary, but when I found this bag and it had really good reviews, I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a try. So I believe it was around $100. Peak Design bags and a lot of the leather bags that I was looking at were $200, $300, $400. So this to me was really worthwhile to try. So let's open it up. I'll be honest, before I remembered that I'm now a YouTuber and that I should do an unboxing video, I did take this out of the box. I did look it over, adjusted the straps and things. I've repackaged it up here, so I'm gonna, like, you know, pretend that I'm surprised, but just know that I'm actually not. Funny thing is, Tarion must have had problems with people damaging the bags when they were opening the box, because it says, "Attention, camera bag is directly inside. Don't cut the bag when you are opening the box." So clearly that message is there from experience. So here it is. When I first opened the box, I was like, oh my god, this bag looks really small, a lot smaller than I expected. And on the listing, it showed little like renderings of people of different heights and how the bag was proportioned to their height. So I had a pretty good idea of how big the bag was. I'm in Canada and this did ship from the US, so it took me about 2 weeks to get it, I want to say. So here's the bag, wrapped in plastic. Very crinkly plastic, so let me get rid of this before I ruin your ears. So right off the bat, as you can see, it's got a flap here that I'm sure it's not leather, but maybe like faux leather material. It's got like a bit of a leather texture to it. And the hooks themselves are, the part that you clasp into is metal, which is awesome. And the flap itself has a pocket here, which I believe is meant to use a cell phone or passport. I'd be careful what I put in here when I'm actually traveling because it's quite easy to open this flap. So that's one thing to remember. I'm very conscious of security because I've heard so many stories. I've never experienced any issues with like mugging or theft or anything like that, but it's definitely something I consider, and I've heard a lot of stories about visiting really busy cities like Paris, issues with pickpocketers. It's a concern that I have, so I wanted to make sure I could cover my bases. I'm holding it here with this really comfortable, cushy, kind of rubbery handle. Is an awesome feature because when you're carrying it around, it matters to have a comfortable handle. I mean, how often do you carry a bag like this? Not overly, but when you're reaching up into the overhead bin or dragging it around, it's nice to have a comfortable handle. The straps on the back are padded, quite well padded. I'm pretty pleased with the quality that I'm feeling so far. The back plate of the bag is semi-solid material, like probably a cardboard or hard plastic plate in there, which is nice. So it should be fairly durable for bags and drops. When you open the flap up, you've got this top compartment that's opened and closed by a drawstring. And then inside this compartment, in the front of the bag, it's really kind of hard to show, but in the front here is a laptop sleeve. And when I feel down to the bottom, there is padding down there. So if I were to set the bag down, the computer will sit against the bottom of the bag, but there's some cushion there, so that's good. It's padded on the front as well, so it should be somewhat resistant to scuffs and bangs. But let me just take my laptop here. So I have a 13-inch brand new MacBook Pro. Isn't she pretty? I bought this skin online and I freaking love this so much. Now the only thing I'll note is that it's very rough. It's almost like a sandpaper texture. It's sparkly and you can feel the sparkle texture. To some people that might be bothersome, but I love the look of it. I'll put the link below to the vendor. So I'm gonna slide this into the bag here and we'll see how it fits. So it's a 13-inch, which I purposely went smaller. My old computer was a 15-inch MacBook. It was an older model, and as much as I loved having the bigger screen for what I do with it, which is photography and editing and graphic design stuff, I was concerned about weight and size for traveling because that's our future, hopefully, once things get back to normal. And if nothing else, we still have the initial journey to get to Spain, so I wanted something that was going to be easily portable. And I'm seeing here that as I slide my computer in, it fits really nice and snugly, which is great because it's not going to fall out or bang around. But I'm not sure I would want to put anything much bigger than this computer in here, so it's definitely a consideration. The other thing is that there's this compartment here, which means there's lots of space to throw in extra goods, and that was something that I wanted to be able to carry, maybe some toiletries, a sweater, you know, any miscellaneous things that I would need access to on the plane. Initially, for our big journey to Spain, we're going to be trying to pack all our belongings into suitcases that we check. So there's a possibility that we're going to need to carry quite a few things on us and as carry-on luggage, whatever we can. So I wanted it to be the most versatile sizing. And the nice thing is, because of this drawstring, it's a little bit adjustable. The camera compartment is accessible through the back, but which I'll get to in a minute. But also there is a Velcro piece as the bottom part of this section of the bag, and that part is removable. So if I decided I didn't want to take my camera gear and I just wanted a backpack, I could take this piece out and it would make the bag full size. I'll also show you that on the front, when the flap is open, there's another zippered section here. And I was noticing earlier that this actually might be, where's my iPad? Here's my iPad. Notice that I love this color pink because it's almost the same color as my laptop. Let's try it out. Here it goes in. Smooth as butter. It fits perfectly. And the only thing I'd worry about is that if the bag got really beat around on the front, it might have issues with banging and damage. So something to be careful with, but nice to know that that's an option rather than jamming it into the laptop sleeve with my laptop, because that space felt kind of tight. And also having two things up against each other is a little bit less padding and security. So the next thing to talk about is the side where it holds a tripod. There is a clasp here that would go around the tripod itself. And then if you look on the bottom here, there's a piece of Velcro. And if I reach up inside, I can pull out a little, oh, this is in there tightly, but I guess that's a good thing because it's not often you'll have to take it in and out. There's a little fabric cup that is designed to hold the feet of a tripod, and then the tripod would sit along the side of the bag here, and then you clasp it on with these hooks. And the hook itself is removable. This side mesh pocket is meant to hold a water bottle, and I did test it earlier. Not generous for a large water bottle, but for like a standard swell bottle or a small plastic water bottle, it would actually fit fine. So the next thing is the camera compartment. All these extras were things that I felt were very necessary for me in the way that I want to use the bag, but the real meat and potatoes of it is the actual camera compartment. So it has a flap that's a double zipper as a quick access port. So when you're wearing the bag, you can just kind of sling it over on its side and put your camera in and out of here. I use Fuji cameras, so I just kind of stuck one in here, and it doesn't have a lens on it right now, but my cameras are very small, so that's one thing I love about Fuji is that they're very light and portable, and the lenses are quite small too compared to a DSLR. So the space is designed for a DSLR, so there's a lot of extra space. And once I can rearrange the inner pieces to fit my gear, I feel like there's going to be even more space for the things that I need to take with me. So I actually have two camera bodies. This is the Fuji X-T3, which is more of a professional grade camera. It's a little bit bigger body and it has a few more bells and whistles. And then the camera that I'm filming on is the Fuji X-T30, which is the little sister of the X-T3. Has kind of the same guts and takes the same lenses and everything, but it's designed to be a little bit smaller and slightly fewer features, a little bit less power, and of course a lower price point. So I needed to be able to hold two camera bodies, at least when I'm traveling around planning to do vlogging. And when we initially travel to Spain, of course, I'm going to be taking all my gear with me. So inside here, like I said, there's your spot for your camera with a little bit of an opening for your lens to slide in. I love that these zippers are very nice and smooth. In a one-handed operation, easy peasy. And then here's the main compartment for the gear. Now, one thing I will say is this is not an easy feature to find, that you access your gear against the back panel, and there's pros and cons to that, but I think for security reasons, I like that it's accessible by the back, because that part will be against my back when I'm traveling and walking and wearing the bag. So it's just a little bit safer, I think, because there's no way to access the expensive stuff from the front. Now, this side flap, because the zippers are so nice and smooth, there is a bit of a risk that a pickpocket could quickly flip this open and grab something out of it. This does not have any way to lock these clasps, but I suppose I could always put a carabiner or something on them to make it a little bit harder to open them in a pinch. So when you open the back flap, this is how they've got it laid out. So here's where the camera would be with that side access flap. And it's kind of comical how big this is, because I can see that there's a lot of movement here. So I'm probably gonna have to figure out a way to configure these little padded spots to have my camera not be flopping around. And in here is a cover that's supposed to be waterproof. I haven't tried this on yet, but I'll show you that in a minute. The only annoying thing about this, and I have seen on other more expensive bags, is that they build the rain cover into the bottom panel so that it tucks away when you're not using it. And in this case, it's just like a loose secondary thing, so it's something you have to actually carry with you if you want to be able to use it. Don't love that, but for the price, I can't complain too much because it looks like it is actually quite a solid material. In this padded flap, there's an opening here. It looks like it's designed to hold SD cards, but I have an SD card holder that's waterproof, and I think it holds 8 cards, so that's probably what I would use, and I wouldn't put loose cards in this flap. And then there's another little zippered meshy spot where you can put other things. I would probably put some of the miscellaneous loose things like extra batteries, my little like handheld tripod, my flashes, and etc. What I can't fit down here, I could also put in the top, which is another nice thing, because I've had camera bags in the past where the whole bag was this, And it meant that, say I wanted to go for a day trip and I didn't want to take a purse, I would have nowhere to put my wallet unless I took out some gear and left it in one of these little spots here in the bag. But I felt like that was such a waste of space and a lot harder to access on the go. So having this top compartment gives me more options for taking extra stuff beyond my camera gear, as well as camera gear, sweaters. If I was using the tripod holder on the side, I could put a bottle of water in the top. I just really wanted something that had a lot of flexibility in use. And I know it's a big ask for one bag to cover off every possible scenario. So my starting point was something that will suit me to travel to Spain initially, when I'm carrying all of my gear, a lot of personal items and things that we're gonna need when we first go across and we're like really loaded down with all the things we're taking. When we're traveling within Europe eventually, we can be a little bit more thoughtful about what we take, because of course we'll be curating and we're only gonna be going for a few days or a week or 2 weeks on a trip. So it wasn't quite as important to be able to check off every box for that use, but I wanted something to avoid having to buy multiple bags at, of course, a higher cost. And also, I didn't want to have to truck across to Spain with multiple bags in tow for every possible use. So far, I have to say this bag is looking really good. I don't find it looks overly like a camera bag, and maybe a photographer could tell by seeing the side flap. But I think just walking through a crowd, it just kind of looks like a stylish backpack to me, personally. Unless I have a tripod hooked on it, of course, and that makes it very obvious. It looks cute. It's kind of more on a masculine style, which isn't really what I wanted. But I just couldn't find something that did everything this bag does that also looked girly. And at the end of the day, because it's a less expensive bag and it's gonna meet my needs, that was really the bigger priority. It feels very light. I don't know exactly the weight, but maybe I'll insert it right here. If I remember, it was less weight than most of the other bags that I was looking at, especially like the really nice, girly, beautiful high-end bags. They were all leather and they were all like 5, 6, 7 pounds without anything in them. The other thing is that this black top is really not helpful at the moment, but I don't know if you'll be able to see. This strap actually has some elastic on it. It has a little bit of stretch to it, which is really cool because it makes it more comfortable to wear, I think. Now in practice, maybe I'll find that's not really true, but I think it's nice that there's just a little bit of play here when I'm wearing it. The straps sit quite high on my shoulders, like closer to my neck, which in this instance, it feels really comfortable. Okay, so here we are on the floor. I decided to bring you down onto my grubby carpet to do an overview of how I'm gonna load this bag up. So it's probably gonna take some finessing to figure out how I should ideally lay all this out, and I won't bore you with doing that all today. But I am gonna take the gear that I have gathered up and see how I can fit it all in here, just to give you an idea. From the side, this is what we get. When I'm ready to fully deck this thing out, there's probably lots of things that I'll need to put in the top here, but this guy for now, some of these other random things. This could be folded up to put, oh sorry, that's very loud. This could be folded up to use as another like cushioning thing around my camera for the side flap. It'll be a little bit annoying to have all this loose stuff tucked in around here, because when I want to just grab my camera and go, it'll be easy for this stuff to be loose floating around, but at least it'll offer extra protection for my camera and also give me a place to put it. Let's see what it looks like on. It's certainly very heavy, no question about that, but it actually feels like it's doable. I wouldn't want to go on a major hike with this, but walking through an airport, getting on a plane, I think it's going to be okay. And these very padded shoulder straps are going to help. So let's throw it on here. Yeah, it actually doesn't feel too bad. I mean, like I said, it is heavy and it's gonna put force on my shoulders when I'm moving around, but it's certainly doable. I think this is sitting nicely on my shoulders. There's not too much of a gap the way my body is shaped. There is a gap between where it sits on my back, and I think that's because it's sitting kind of low and the weight is resting kind of on my lower back, like hips. And I don't know if ergonomically that's a good thing or not, so I'm gonna have to fuss a little bit with the length of the straps to see, like, if I shorten these up a tiny bit, if I can raise it up enough that it will sit more comfortably to distribute the weight on my chest. These, if I push these up as high as they go and shorten the straps as much as I can, actually that feels a lot better. So because the flap on the back, like this spot right here, is quite padded, this padding is sitting quite nicely on my lower back. And honestly, I feel like I could do a decent run to catch a plane through the airport with this. Color me impressed. So far, 10 out of 10. Pretty good, I like it. Pretend I'm walking down the pedway at the airport, the gate, going to my flight. Oh, no big deal. I'm just moving to Spain, you know, whatever. Got my stuff. Let me go weigh this bad boy and see what it weighs with everything in it. Maybe what I'll do is go pop this on the scale after I put those items in it and tell you right here how much it actually weighs. Was helpful for you. I'm gonna stand here and bounce around annoyingly while I test how comfortable this feels as I get more and more tired of standing. I actually really enjoyed this. Was the first time that I've ever done a video like this, and it was really fun, and I actually kind of feel like a real YouTuber. You know, floor shots, in-action shots, me talking, etc. So if you like this style of video, let me know. And if you are interested in this bag, check it out in the links below. I don't have affiliate links for Amazon just yet because you are required to have a certain level of subscribers to actually monetize a link. So I'm working on that. Tell your friends, subscribe, hit the like button, etc. All of that helps. Hopefully someday I can earn a few dollar bills from this little gig that I have going on here. And I hope you will continue to watch and join me on the next video.